Hey everyone, this is Carlos Corral with the El Paso Film Festival, and I'm here with a filmmaker interview with Andrew Shebay and Shawn Livingston. They are part of the documentary Woke the Monster. So guys, I want to welcome you to the filmmaker interview portion of our festival. I really wish we could be doing this in person, but of course, due to the situation, I still think this is still a great way to connect with you guys. And full disclosure, right now, I actually did do location audio for Woke the Monster. I've worked with Andrew before, but this is the first time I've actually met Shawn. So welcome, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Cool. Andrew, I know, as I mentioned, I've worked with you before, but for this particular documentary, I was really... I don't know, something connected with me when you told me what the project was. And the two of us flew to Shawn's hometown, Youngstown, Ohio. I believe it was back in 2019.
Yeah.
And I got to meet Shawn's family and everything. But how did you guys first meet? And how did this story kind of find itself with the two of you guys? Because I kind of feel like you guys are really good friends now. How did this all start?
Yeah, it was interesting. I was doing some kind of pro bono videos for a nonprofit here in Austin. It was a small running group. And one of the videos I did for them, it was based on Shawn. So I kind of was able to tell Shawn's story in a much shorter video, like a little 3 to 4 minute video. And then obviously connecting with him and learning about him and a little bit about his story just from that video. I saw that there was much more to it. And when he told me, I think it was about 6 months after we did that video, he told me, he's like, hey man, I'm going to go run 100 miles. And my mind was kind of blown. I was like, oh my God. I was like, well, do you want to think about doing something a little bit bigger and making this an actual documentary about, your life and your family, bringing your family into it, which is very personal, and just kind of telling a story about, how running helped you overcome, PTSD and addiction and all those, that kind of like, bad monster that he was living with. He was all over it, which it was interesting. It was very intimate, very personal, thing to tell a story about someone's deepest, darkest past. But Shawn was awesome. He was super open with it. So it was amazing.
And Shawn, to you, what was it like having someone come to you and be like, I want to document this process, and kind of letting them into your life?
I mean, it's all so crazy and all so surreal, whatever higher plan there was out there to bring Andrew into my life, you know what I mean? I was, at the time when I met Andrew, I was only about a year or so removed from, getting out of prison and shooting heroin. And, my life it had transformed over this year. And then I was lucky enough to meet Andrew, and we shot that video, and, it got posted to social media. And as Andrew said, like, what an intimate thing was, but like, just through the entire experience, it gave me so much power in my story, like, in confidence and everything like that. Because when that video went out on the social media, the amount of messages that I just started getting from people, and the depth and the openness and the honesty about problems they were going through, or, asking me questions about how I overcame this or that. And it blew me away. And so I shared that with Andrew, and then he asked me if I wanted to do something bigger. And I could have never dreamt that I would ever be in the position to be able to use all this stuff prior in my life, all this trouble I had been in, all this, this hurt that I had put my family through, my friends through, just these disappointing things. I never thought that I would be lucky enough to be part of an experience to where that actually helps people and inspires people that you can make change and it's never too late. And another thing that we found out was with the impact it started having on the families. I'm sure there's going to be families that watch the film through your film festival that their number one question is, how do I deal with an addict? My son, my daughter, my whoever. And it's just my story obviously hits close to home for me, and it hit close to home for Andrew. And so when he asked me if I wanted to do something bigger, I just told him, if it'll help people, man, I'll do whatever. All this stuff was all new to me, being on camera. Like, I mean, it's so crazy to think, like, sitting in a prison cell one day, if somebody ever told me, hey, like, we're going to use your story to help, hopefully millions of people or something like that. You can't even wrap your mind around it. And so, and me and Andrew, through the whole experience, he was there with my ups and my downs. And I used to pull him aside and be like, dude, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, it's bringing up things, being open and honest with the story. It's bringing up things for me. And like, him and I some days would be best friends. Some days we butt heads. There's other days I'd call him and be like, dude, I'm being a brat right now. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what this is all about, but we came out on the other side with something really, really special. And he's my brother for life, and I will forever be indebted to him and my family. He's given my family so much power and pride and what they've all been through. It's been truly something special.
Yeah, and speaking of family, because this was something that I didn't get to see originally. When I traveled to Youngstown with Andrew, I got to see the story from your family's perspective. But I was still really curious as to, like, addiction is not an easy thing. I'm curious to hear what Shawn's going through or what his perspective was. So then finally seeing that all come to fruition in the film was, I think, really painted the very big picture. So, but what was your reaction when you saw it? What was your family's reaction when you guys saw each other's sides?
It blows you away because, for me, addiction is so it's this selfish thing. You're only ever worried about yourself. And there was a long process which I talk at length with Andrew about like getting my sister back in my life and not being able to understand. It's like, hey, I'm good now. Like, I'm a year sober. Like, why doesn't she want to talk to me? Why is she so hesitant to bond with me or carry on a conversation? And then really they were able to open up on film with Andrew and in ways that they would have never probably done with me. And so it kind of put everybody's chips out on the table. And it really gave me I knew it was hard for them, but it really gave me an understanding of why things were the way they were. And I remember having a conversation with my mother, after I had seen it, and I went home, and Andrew was nice enough to, give me access so they could see it and everything like that. And I remember coming back here to Texas and was talking with my mom on the phone, and I was like, Mom, do you realize what, regardless if this film never saw the light of day or, then all the virus stuff started happening and we didn't know what was going to happen with film festivals. I was like, we have that moment, of what happens in this film captured forever. Like, we'll always have that. And it's a movie story. Like, you know what I mean? The movie itself is like the ending of a movie. Like, we're just so lucky to have that. So
yeah, and actually that was one part of the documentary where you and I was like, man, I really wish I had been there just to kind of feel the love, was when your family was there for you at the finish line. I'm like, oh, I know, unfortunately I wasn't able to go, but still just seeing that on the film, I thought was like, man, that's a really special moment right there. I kind of feel like things are going to be okay.
Right. Did you just give a spoiler alert?
Did I? No, I do want people to know, though, that, even though the film does have, the dark theme of addiction, I still like to tell people that there is light at the end of the tunnel in all these films. But it's all part of the journey. And I think that's what Andrew was able to put together very well by bringing the two of you guys there, and that's what I saw it as, is that your family there at the finish line was your light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Andrew and I, from the moment we sat down, like, we didn't want to. We had talks about, like, you know, maybe we should, like, neither of us wanted to tell, like, the story is hard, and, like, people really need to understand the depths of where addiction takes you, or the depths that it takes the family. And, you know, if you wanted to make, like, you know, we had a long conversation, do we take the swear words out? And we were just both like, this is a gritty story. It has to be raw. It has to be, you know, people need to understand. And so I'm so glad the way it came out, because he kept it all in. And, yeah, man, I was kind of going off there. I kind of forgot what we were talking about. But.
It's okay. Well, Andrew, and so another question I want to ask you, because I know I had seen a short film that you had done previously a couple years ago that dealt with addiction. It was, you know, 4-minute little short film documentary. It was really good. And I kind of felt that that's where this kind of became the feature. So kind of tell me, like, what brought you down the road to making this film, Woke the Monster?
Yeah, so I think that film you were talking about, that was one of the films. It was called Unconditional. It was the one I did with Shawn. And the one I did before that was another kind of short film called Mile One, with another recovering addict. And I actually did one previous to that as well, called Portrait of an Addict. So yeah, I don't know. I always just find people going through addiction and that have overcome that. I find those stories very powerful. Even though I've never personally experienced the addiction, it still kind of gives me strength and hope to kind of get over what I'm going through in life. I feel, you know, I do have some addiction and certain, like, family members I've been experiencing lately. So I think that's a big reason why at that time I was so connected to Shawn, because I was trying to learn about addiction and kind of what he went through and what the families go through. Most importantly, I thought was a big thing. But I just find that the resiliency in people like Shawn and these other addicts that are overcoming addiction, because they have to continue that resiliency every single day. I just find that just very powerful, you know, and I find that, you know, it's good to tell those stories and to get them out there.
Yeah. And with that, I also, Shawn, I wanted to kind of go back to you a little bit, especially with the pandemic happening right now. How has that changed the way, you know, former addicts are able to cope? You know, it seems to me like, you know, you beat your addiction and running really became the cure. But now with the pandemic and everything kind of going away and no public events are happening, how has that changed for you? Is it still something that you, you know, think about? Is there a way that you're still talk to other people? Do you go running anyway, just by yourself? You know, how have you been able to cope that way? And what advice do you have for other people who are struggling?
It's been tough, like, on the recovery community, because a big part of the recovery community is the 12-step meetings, and those have kind of all, you know, for a period went away, and so they were doing Zoom meetings, and I know a lot of people just weren't a fan of them. There was, like, too much going on, and a big part is just getting around, like, the fellowship, getting around other people that are like yourself and like that. To be honest, I didn't really let it. You know, I adhered to the rules and the distancing and the masks and all that stuff, but I really didn't let everything going on affect my day-to-day. I still ran, I still worked out. I did what I could to turn my apartment into a gym so I could still work out every day. And then the treatment centers, you know, they go on no matter what. And so I still, the treatment centers that I work with intimately, we have testing we do every Tuesday at the one. And so that really never stopped. But it is tough, especially for people getting out of treatment now, because a big part of my message to them is, when you get out of treatment, go find find a good community, build a foundation for yourself. You know, it happened for me when I was in treatment. I started running. I met the running community. I found the trail running community, and all of a sudden I had this family of people when I got out of treatment that were just all there for me, and they're just all positive, healthy friends. And so the next time I got, you know, lonely or mad or sad, I didn't go back to my old way of life. I had these new people around me that, you know, we were training for a race, we were doing something. And so a big part of my message is trying to challenge people to go out and find that, whether it's the art community, the music community, the athletic community, you know, something. Go find some people. And so right now it's tough. And so I just try to point people in the right direction. Things are still opening back up. You know, I got a group of about 15 former addicts that I'm training up for a race come here in December. So, I mean, if you really want to find people and find something, there's still stuff out there. It's just a little bit more difficult. But now's a really tough time. There's a lot of people that have relapsed throughout this time because of money or stress or no job. So, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You got to get on the Zooms. You got to get on the phone, stay in contact with people, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I mean, just from what you've experienced, do you feel a closer connection to that family, your running family, or still do you feel like further away, even though you can still talk to each other with Zoom or over the phone?
I mean, and Andrew knows firsthand the bond that I have with those people, like that, they're family. You know, every year since I've lived in Texas, I've had Thanksgiving with them. Like, you know, though we didn't quarantine together, you know what I mean? We're bonded for life. So, you know, they're the type of people I could not see for months and, you know, see the next day after that, and we never miss a beat. But, you know, things are getting better right now. You know, we're starting to get together for runs and start talking about races. You know, they've changed the formats of races so everyone's spaced out and nobody's touching and all that stuff. But life has started to go on, and we found ways to adapt with it. So as long as you're willing, there's always a way.
No, yeah, of course. And I'm really happy to hear that, like, you guys as a community, it almost feels like you guys have grown closer, despite everything that's been happening outside.
Right.
So yeah, Andrew, any other, or you and Shawn too, any other advice you guys want to give, or anything else you want to say to anyone curious about the documentary?
Yeah, just about, like, obviously the main reason Shawn and I and his family wanted to make the documentary. I mean, they didn't want to come out and just talk about all the problems in the past. We really just wanted to make something that was real, and something where, you know, like Shawn said, like, other families can look at this and other families can, you know, at least try to get some sort of hope or just strength out of Shawn and his family's situation, and just know that, yeah, you know, like, get up, go run, or find something to do that's active, to get you, like, on the right path. So yeah.
And how about you, Shawn? Any last thoughts?
Just, I mean, hopefully that people seeing the film, you know, there's nothing special about me. And when I say that, it's like I'm just like anybody else. I'm not some elite athlete or anything like that, but I'm just somebody who found an avenue to kind of apply my addict mentality with the running thing. And I fell in love with it. And it's, you know, running became the best medicine that, you know, I've ever gotten. When I got out of the military, they put me on a bunch of pills for this and that and the other thing. And I was able to do more with running than any of that stuff ever did. And so I tried to get sober a dozen times before, and I would put all my eggs in one basket. And so if you kind of think about your life as you know, you have your mental health, you have your spiritual health, and you have your physical health. And so I'd put all my eggs in the mental health thing, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to get on medicine. I'm not going to be depressed or anxiety, and I'll be good. Well, that didn't work. And then my spiritual health, I got into a 12-step program, and I just did meetings every day and all that. And it worked for a while, but, you know, it didn't work the whole time. And so for me, I was able to find success by doing all three. And I've kind of found that the missing link for me, once I addressed the mental and the spiritual health, was my physical health. And so I just got really passionate about it, and I've been blessed now to be able to do that as like my job every day, is to train people and help other addicts see the benefits of physical activity and running and getting in the gym and eating healthy and stuff like that. So just know that if anybody's watching this that is wondering how to do it themselves or with their family, that's a good way. And that people just feel free to reach out and talk to me if they have questions or they want to tell me about stuff. I get them all the time, and I welcome them.
Great.
And Shawn and his sister are doing great now, by the way. I just wanted to add.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, you were there when we were filming her. And yeah, it was tough for her. It was tough. And, I have an older sister. I know Kelly's younger than Shawn, but man, the sibling bond, it's a real thing. And Shawn's been working at it, but, I love the fact that they're doing so well.
Yeah, and I'm happy to hear that as well. And I think this film will definitely, I feel, make an impact, not just now but for years to come, to help anyone struggling with addiction. But
I don't think my sister would be me and my sister would be where we're at if it wasn't for the film. It was like the perfect bonding thing, and helped her be able to work through so many things. And now she's one of my closest people in my life. And we're to the point now where I usually get a smart ass text from her like once or twice a week. We're back to that like trash talking brother sister phase. And so I know we're in a good place when we could sit there and talk smack back and forth.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this filmmaker interview. And for everyone watching at home, Woke the Monster is available October 16th on our streaming TV channels on Apple, Roku, and Fire TV. Check it out, Woke the Monster. It is a great film and one that you should not miss. So I want to thank you guys for coming today.
Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that's it for this filmmaker interview. Tune in next time, and we'll have more filmmaker interviews and behind the scenes. Thanks a lot.
18 months ago, I was addicted to shooting heroin. I was homeless. I'd been kicked out of the military, facing 15 years in prison, depressed, had anxiety disorder. I'd basically given up on life. And tomorrow, I'm about to attempt to run a 100-mile trail race.
Children in a good household and a middle-class family, and I don't think any parent ever says, oh, okay, I'm prepared for my son to be a heroin addict. Nobody's ever prepared for that.
There'd be times I thought he was dead. You don't know how bad it hurts for me thinking about I have to plan his funeral.
The hardest thing for me was when somebody said, how's Shawn doing? How did they want me to answer him? He's a heroin addict. How do you think he's doing?
It's hard to believe after so many years of going through this with him that he finally made what I feel is a lasting change.
I just want to start being her brother again, man. I just want to be in her life.
I know he's ready for it. I'm just not ready for it yet.
100 miles, you're talking extreme right there. If you finish this thing, you've got the mental toughness to do whatever.
Shawn coming to do something like this after having addiction to drugs, running can take people away from that. The drugs are the demon, right? And that demon might try to come back and grab him, and you just have to kind of push him aside and keep running.
There ain't no way in hell I'm calling home after this and saying I didn't finish. I got a job, man. I know, dude, I'm in too much fucking pain. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
His addiction didn't happen overnight. His recovery won't. Our family coming back together won't happen overnight either.